The Niger Delta remains impoverished despite providing most of the oil, the mainstay of the nation's economy. Locals have for decades complained about poverty, with agitation that at times spilling over into attacks on energy facilities. In fact, Niger Delta is said to be one of the most polluted places on earth. For decades, oil spills have been damaging the environment, devastating lives in that part of the country. This week, lawmakers asked the president to appoint a new board to run the Niger Delta Development Commission that has faced accusations for financial impropriety and
mind-boggling allegations
and
counter
revelations.
allegations.
And you don't want to go there. An audit of the
We
body,
have to go there in the course of the
in the course of the
segment.
commission, we will go. I don't know where that came from, but in the course, an audit of the body, which last year had a budget of 346 billion naira, wow, $909 million, was ordered by the president in October after a number of state governors from Delta complained about how it has run. But what has that all amounted to? $909 million budget of one commission last year. What impact has it been on had on the environment, on that region?
None.
Well, we have two guests here. Aleo, who happens to come from the Niger Delta,
And is very peeved.
is actually having fun here, but peeved, but having fun. Well, to help us understand what's happening, we have two guests. We have Ifie Brebena, who is the secretary of the Ijo Elders Forum. He joins us. Oops, he was going to join us via telephone. He's on his way, stuck in traffic, but he'll be here shortly. But here in the studio, we have Linda Longjohn, a public affairs analyst. Hello, Linda.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
A fellow Niger Delta.
Yes, I'm in Niger Delta.
Okay.
And proudly so. Okay, so tell me, in the last week and the couple of weeks gone by, the conversations about the Niger Delta, were you happy about them?
First, let me say I want to use this opportunity to thank Mr. President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, for giving the Niger Deltans the ample opportunity, for utmost transparency, for them to know what is being done with the monies, that was, disbursed to that commission. So, and you asked the question if I'm happy with the happenings. As a Niger Deltan, I will not say I am happy. I am not. To say the least, I'm not happy with the happenings. But it's something that can be looked into, and, they will know what the issues are and how to correct those things, and we'll have that Niger Delta that we've always dreamt of.
Okay, that's a good place to just pause, and we'll go on a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll continue this conversation. You're not happy, but there is hope. That's what you're saying.
Yes, there is hope.
Do stay with us.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Yes, I was saying to Linda during that break that I was going to ask her a question, which is something that people have actually been talking about. Some people are saying that the president instituted this to show the Niger Delta people, perpetual agitators, that the evil that they see, the non-development that they see, everything that they see in their region that is bad is being done to them by their own people who have been the ones who have run that commission since it was formed almost 20 years ago.
Okay, I wouldn't say you're far from the truth, because that was why the president, asked the IMC to go and do a forensic audit. And when the Niger Delta state governors came up with the idea, the suggestion to the president that they should do a forensic audit, they thought it was going to be for a certain period of time. But the president, had to ask them to go back to as far back as 19 years ago when the commission was set up. So I think the president has the interest of the Niger Deltans at heart, which is why he has asked for them to go back as far back as 19 years ago for the forensic audit, to take place, so we can see these things for ourselves, how it's being played out.
And people were scandalized when Dr. Cairo Ojugo said, you get a Niger Delta NDDC contract, and it's like you have won the lottery. You can get a job for 700 million and execute the job with 10 million. And this at a time when the APC government, which is in power right now, is touting and singing from the rooftops right from their campaign time that they were fighting corruption. So how is it that this kind of thing is still going on at a time like this?
First and foremost, I would like to say I'm not a spokesperson for the NDDC. I'm just here as a concerned Niger Delta,
Yes,
and,
tell me your thoughts about these goings on at a time like this.
I would say it's really disheartening. Like everybody would see and know that this is not what is expected at this time, especially when the Niger Deltans are yearning for a change, yearning for development, which they've not enjoyed over the years. And most of the resources of the country, if you would agree with me, comes from that region, yet there's nothing on ground to show. So this is not actually the expectation of the Niger Deltans, but like you rightly said, the APC government of President Muhammadu Buhari is still in that line of fighting corruption, which is why you see these things playing out today. Because if it's before, they won't set up a probe, they won't set up any committee, to look into anything. But because this government is, a government that is ready for accountability, a government that is transparent, I repeat, that is why we see these things today.
It's strange how that we have, so far this commission has been handled by people from that region. Is it a question of not having a dream for that region, that they go in there or appear to go in there and mess up things?
I don't know what their thoughts are before they get into that position. But every person that has the interest of his people at heart should go in there and do something tangible, something positive, you would agree with me, so that people will see that for a true, you went there and you had the interest of the people at heart, which is the first thing you should think of rather than your own interests.
So should that call for the dissolution, I know I'm going ahead of God here, but should the call for the dissolution of the Interim Management Committee happen immediately?
I trust the president in his judgments. It's just, how do I put it now? Like they've gone in the Senate and they've come out with that resolution that the IMC should be dissolved. I trust the president's judgment on that so that he would know what to do. I know he would take a decision that will be favorable to the Niger Deltans. He won't just do anything that will not favor the Niger Deltans. I think the president, in his capacity, when he's, abreast with all the investigations and all the resolutions, he will decide something that will be favorable, that will be good, that the Niger Deltans will see and they will hear, and it will be better for them. Okay. I can't speak for the president on what he will decide. I don't have that in my hand.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're looking at what anybody coming to the Niger Delta can do, okay, what they should do in terms of what's the dream they have for the area and all of that. You're not too advanced in age, and very soon we'll be joined by a member of the Elders Forum in the Niger Delta, one of the Elders Forums there, to talk to us about what they are thinking or what they are seeing and what should be done. But as a younger person, how do you think things could have gone in that region?
I think that region is supposed to have been more developed than what we have today, than what we're seeing. It's so sad that up until now, we can't hold on to anything. And to think that it has been run by its own people, is not something anyone should be proud or happy about.
Okay, we've since been joined by the Secretary of the Ijaw Elders Forum, Efie Ribena. Good morning, Elder.
Thank you very much.
So let me drop you in immediately. What are your thoughts about what's been going on with the NDDC and the revelations, allegations, counter-allegations that we have listened to in the last, 10 days, 2 weeks?
Well, for me, it's an indication of the problems that we have in the country. And it's an indication of the wrong conception, the structural defects in the system that are created in a manner to promote injustice and underdevelopment of the Niger Delta. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because from the time of the inception of the NDDC, which is supposed to be a palliative agency to resolve some of the problems of the Niger Delta, you will discover that in conception, it was created as NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission, but it is actually an agency to take care of oil-producing states, which is outside the Niger Delta. And so you are looking at resolving the problems of the Niger Delta, while in actual sense, you created an agency to take care of oil-producing states. Some of those states don't have the peculiar needs of the Niger Delta. And then you have a problem where people create agencies over the heads of the people. You create an agency over the head of the people. The people are not involved in the conception of the NDDC. The communities are not part of the creation. The people are not part of the creation. And so they don't own this project. They don't decide who becomes the management of NDDC. They don't decide the policies of the agency. And so you have a situation where people that come up, even from the Niger Delta, because they are selected, they have a defective selective selection process that imposes people that don't have the well-being of the people of the Niger Delta at heart to now run these agencies. And so you find a situation where decisions are taken that are not in the best interest of the people. That is the problem that we have. And the structural defects create the kind of mind-boggling corruption that we now hear or see happening in the agency. If I must say, the people that created the agency have a lot of responsibility here.
That is the federal government.
Yes, they have a lot of responsibility here. Because if they take the right decisions, for instance, if you look at the NDDC laws, people, that is, agencies are supposed to make contributions to the NDDC. The federal government is supposed to make contributions to the NDDC. But how much of the contributions, how many of those that are supposed to make contributions are actually making contributions? So you discover that, one, the NDDC is underfunded. Two, which is a great injustice to the people of the Niger Delta. Two, the people that are selected to manage the NDDC, most of them from the Niger Delta, also perpetuate the worst injustice against their own people by frittering away the funds of the agency that is supposed to use for the development of the people.
Pardon me, Mr. Bribena, you said that the NDDC is underfunded.
Yes. It's underfunded because the law created how there is a certain percentage of contributions from oil companies and all that, and from the federal government.
Okay.
And none of them, including the federal government,
is
have
giving
met its obligations to the agency.
If we're looking at what we know now,
Yes.
wouldn't that have been more money to be stolen? We should be talking about what's the little money. You say underfunded, so I use the word little money.
Yes.
So what has the little money that is coming been used for? What do we see? What kind of development do we see, no matter how little, that this little money has brought to the area?
That is why I said you have the people of the Niger Delta are suffering a case of double jeopardy. The one, adequate provisions are not made. Two, the little provisions that is made is being frittered away by indigents in cohorts with others outside the region. So there is nothing, there is no development, even that is the little that is coming, it's not being used appropriately. And that is what the current saga is revealing.
Okay, Linda, when you started, you said you're not happy with the situation there. But you also started by commending the president for saying there should be an audit. Is the audit happening, in your opinion? And what do you hope to see from that? Because some will say the legislature is already auditing. And from what we are getting there, what would the audit find?
I think the minister said the audit was ongoing. Like I said earlier, I'm not a spokesperson for the NDDC, but I would want to believe that the audit is ongoing. And what I would want to see is utmost transparency concerning this audit. Anybody that has misappropriated these funds should be brought to book. That will give joy to the people of the Niger Delta. At least they will have this hope to see that people are being, treated the way they should be treated, that has, misused funds meant for the development of that region. That will be something that will satisfy the common Niger Delta man, no matter how we look at it. It will bring kind of succor, kind of joy, and a new hope to the people of that region to see that people are being made to suffer for what they have done with those funds.
Okay, so when you heard the Senate and the House of Representatives start out this probe and some of the things they were talking about, do you think that they were asking the right questions? I mean, for a younger person, do you think they were asking the right questions? When you heard some of the amounts being mentioned, in your mind, what do you think should be happening?
I wouldn't say I was happy when I heard some of those amounts that were being mentioned, like on the floor of the House when that probe was ongoing. But like I said, it is something that has opened our eyes, to see what's been ongoing. And since there is a a committee that has been set up. I wouldn't want to dabble too much into that.
But what would you be expecting the committee to look at?
What I would expect the committee to look at, there are some allegations and counter allegations. If the committee wants to be, very neutral, bringing everybody to the chopping board, not trying to let all the allegations that has been, put in place be looked into, so that everybody can have this, peace of mind that there is transparency in that committee, not just trying to work to cover up a certain issue that has been brought up by one other party, trying to cover up for your people or for some of the members of the House.
Okay. Also, Bibina, sorry, Alera.
Yeah.
When you said the monies as little have been filtered away, but you're of the Elders Forum, and we do know that I'm from the southern part of the country, and I do know that part of our growing up, which is an African thing, is that when elders speak, the younger generation keep quiet. Have the elders called any of these people to book to say, what have you been doing? What have you done to mess up our region worse than it, or going downwards instead of moving up? Because she said that place should have been better developed than it is right now. What have the elders been doing?
I agree that it should have been better developed. I think she put it mildly when she says she's dissatisfied or something like that. I'm disgusted with what is happening in the Niger Delta. And as elders, I know we've taken certain steps, in terms of trying to create good leadership. We've held seminars, to try to discuss about the leadership selection process in the Niger Delta, especially as it affects the Ijaw Nation. We've drawn up what we call a code of conduct, ethics, and governance, which, if taken into consideration, we expect that if people are appointed based on those qualities, we will have better leadership. So we've held seminars where we've invited the political parties and all that, trying to, come up with better leadership in the Niger Delta. But I want to say something, and that is the fact that a bad tree cannot produce a good fruit. When you have a government creating a body, and the government itself does not follow the laws that they have made, then it is difficult to have a good product under such setting. For instance, the IMC is alien to the law that created the NDDC. And now we are talking about a sole administrator. Which is, so when you deliberately break the law that you created, how do you expect something good to come out of it? In the first place, you now appoint a Niger Delta that is now supposed to pretend over an agency where you have created an illegality. What do you expect from that Niger Delta?
Illegality, right?
Illegality. That is the truth. So that is the problem. So we have these good ideas. We are trying to see what we can do concerning them. This is, that is why I came with some of these things. This is a seminar that we had on leadership to address the leadership question. This is the what we call the George Charter and the John Nation Code of Ethics, Leadership, and Governance. And recently, we have come up with what we call the 10 desirable qualities of leadership for anybody that is going to occupy a position of authority.
Okay, can you just hold your thoughts a moment? Let's just go on a very quick break, and we'll come back to continue the conversation. Please stay with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at development in the Niger Delta. Mr. Brebina, you were talking about the leadership selection process as we begin to wind down. What can be done differently? Or what should be done?
Government and people responsible for selecting people into position of authority should ensure that the people, that is the people and the communities, have an input. You see, the problem we have is that both for elections and even in appointments, the people have no contribution. They are not part of the process. And so people that are appointed and people that are elected are people that don't really share the values of the people.
Well, Elder, I'm sure that the federal government will tell you that before they make those selections, that they actually consult with some Niger Delta people, and they are the ones who put forward these names.
But the people that they consult, do those people consult the grassroots?
Well, it is hoped that they would.
No, they don't. They don't. Because they are part of the political class.
Again,
Okay.
why do they have to do consultation when there should be a merit-based selection process?
We have a broken society, for God's sake.
Sorry, she said, is there a merit?
Because the NDDC Act, Section 12, subsection 1B, states that such as qualified for the project. It doesn't have to they don't have to check your heart to know if you, just like people that are qualified. You don't have to be an engineer, you don't have to, but you have to be qualified. It's stated there in the NDDC Act. So I think that's where they do their selections from.
Okay.
Once you're qualified for that, because...
Let me bring in the point here. If that is the point, if it is based on qualification,
Yes, sir.
how do you now appoint a medical director as director of projects?
Okay. No,
A
because...
medical doctor as a director of projects.
No, because the EVP, that's the director, executive director of project, must not be an engineer. That is where that NDDC Act comes in, Section 12.
So once they're qualified.
Once you're qualified.
So what does qualify mean in this circumstance?
I think I heard when the minister said that I think 60% or 80% of the projects for the NDDC is medical. I think he mentioned that.
But that is also not true.
I don't know, but he said
not
so.
true.
He said so. So it's something that we have to go back and look at.
It's not true. You are quoting from the NDDC Act. The NDDC Act. The NDDC
it's something we have to go back and look at.
Developmental agency. It's a developmental agency. It's created for the development of the Niger Delta.
Okay, Linda, are we closing now?
Closing statement.
Oh dear.
Linda, solution. What should be
The way
done?
forward.
The way forward is for the forensic audit. I'm in support of that forensic audit, for the IMC to go on with that forensic audit. That is the way forward, because it will bring more revelations. Then in the future, I think they have to appoint people that, like we said in quotes, have the interests of the Niger people at heart.
Elder?
Yeah, the forensic audit should go on under the supervision of the Auditor General of the Federation. The Niger Delta Minister should resign or be sacked. The
Acting.
IMC or acting, whatever they call it, should be dissolved immediately. The president should nominate and appoint a new board according to the act immediately. The loudest endorsement of the est that is taking place in the Niger Delta today is the continuous silence of the president on this matter.
What about the continued silence of the people of the Niger Delta?
We are not silent.
But that's talk for another day.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with two Niger Delta indigents, Efie Brebena, is Secretary Joe Elders Forum, and then Linda Longjohn, who is a young lady and a public affairs analyst from the Niger Delta as well. Thank you for sharing your thoughts
Thank
with
you
us
for
this morning.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sunrise will be back in a moment. Please stay with us.